Hello everybody and welcome to Noctis Gaming. My name is Kaelo and today I'm going to share my thoughts on the War of the Rohirrim animation, which is the latest Lord of the Rings film from Warner Brothers. This film has been the target of quite a lot of criticism from online reviewers, and I typically respect quite a lot of those reviewers, but I wanted to take the time to form my own unbiased opinion and share that with you today. Before diving in, let me outline what we'll cover today. First, I'll explain my stance on topics like wokeism, feminism and law changes, as I think these are crucial to understanding how I approach my media, especially beloved franchises like Lord of the Rings. Second, we'll discuss some of the accusations directed at the film and how they initially influenced my perspective even before I saw the film. And lastly, I'll share a few minor spoilers to compare Tolkien's original lore and this new adaptation and help you decide whether the film is for you. To start with, let's talk about my approach to fiction. So I'm somebody who loves seeing stories stick closely to their source material. I believe that honouring the original text, characters and the world building is vital when adapting any beloved work. For instance, if a character is described as white in the source material, that should be reflected on the screen. A good example of this is the rumoured casting of the black actor as Snape in the upcoming Harry Potter series, something that directly contradicts the character's established appearance and descriptions. That said, I'm not against thoughtful changes when they make sense for storytelling. A great example of that is the substitution of Glorfindel with Arwen in the Fellowship of the Ring film. While it deviated from Tolkien's text, it didn't break the law, and it actually helped the audience understand Arwen and Aragorn's relationship better without dragging down the film's already slow pacing. What I do take issue to is girl bossing, which is an overused trope where female characters are portrayed as physically invincible or hyper-capable in ways that don't align with the story's world. Men and women are different, and we should celebrate that. Women don't need to be able to chug 15 pints of beer, arm wrestle a bear, and then single-handedly beat up an entire gang of men to be super powerful. Instead, you should be focusing more on intelligence, compassion, cunning and determination, which are just as compelling and far more realistic qualities to be shown in women, especially strong and powerful women. Ultimately, fiction doesn't need to reflect modern-day social issues. It should focus on telling great stories and not checking boxes for inclusivity or promoting real-world ethics. So let's address some of the accusations that I've heard about the War of the Rohirrim, such as Hera is a girl boss, and that Hera can talk to eagles, which should only be possible for wizards, and that Hera and a group of shield maidens come and save the day, and that the law has changed to make Hera the hero of the film. Are these claims true? Let's take a closer look, with some minor spoilers ahead. First up, is Hera a girl boss? I would say not at all. She's far from invincible and is regularly overpowered by male opponents. At one point, she's even captured after losing a fight with one. During the siege of Edoras, she's mostly defending herself, and even then, her brothers and father frequently save her. She's portrayed as a skilled but vulnerable fighter, which feels appropriate for her character. In fact, Hera's decisions sometimes create more problems than solutions. One major moment involves her sneaking out, which ultimately leads to Helm's tragic fate as being a frozen snowman. Hera doesn't suddenly become a flawless leader either. The people of Rohan only turn to her after the men have all fallen, and even the climactic duel against Wolf is a hard-fought struggle where she relies on cunning rather than brute force. As for her big moment with the Mumakil, it's worth noting that her brother Halath, later in the film, gets more glory here, bringing one down single-handedly during the siege. Hera, on the other hand, relies on her intelligence and a clever, unexpected tactic to survive. This aligns with her character's strengths and avoids turning her into an unrealistic action hero. It's also important to note that Hera isn't the one who saves the day in the end. That honour still goes to her cousin Freylf, who is absolutely the star of the film. This matches Tolkien's lore almost exactly, where the only real deviation I noticed throughout the whole tale was how Hera's younger brother, Hammer, dies. Otherwise, the story remains faithful, though told through Hera's perspective, a choice that I actually found quite refreshing and quite effective. So next, let's address the Hera talks to eagles claim. In the film, she does speak to eagles in the way any human can, and that they understand her, but she can't understand them, and that's the subtle difference. There's no law breaking here. Only wizards can understand the language of eagles, so this fits perfectly within Tolkien's established world. And as for the idea of Hera finding a long-lost group of shield maidens, well, that simply just doesn't happen. Aside from a torn shield maiden banner in Meduseld and a brief mention of their history, there's no secret band of Rohan warrior women coming to give me nightmares at night. I have no idea where the accusation came from, but it is actually baseless. And ultimately, I really enjoyed The War of the Rohirrim. I'm a huge fan of anime, and I think that the medium worked beautifully here. But that said, I couldn't help but imagine how amazing some of these scenes would have been in a live-action scenario. As a lifelong Lord of the Rings fan, which I actually consider is my Roman Empire, something that I think about daily, I was relieved to see the film honour Tolkien's lore. By framing the story through Hera's perspective, it offered a fresh take while staying true to the spirit of the source material. Hera isn't a flawless, invincible warrior. She's vulnerable, she's intelligent, and she's a young woman who overcomes challenges through wit rather than brute strength, which makes her a compelling and actually a likeable protagonist. Well, thank you for watching my review. If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking and subscribing to Noctis Gaming, and stay tuned for my next video, where I'll be diving into secret level Warhammer animation.